You're listening to Change Your POV Podcast, episode 68. But they perhaps might want to know a little bit more about you and your previous or your past work experience. Or perhaps you are looking for a promotion within your department or even within a different department. Well, guess what? Yep, you will need your resume. I have seen so many folks scramble to put their resumes together haphazardly to have it ready for an intercompany interview for a potential opportunity.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
Hello, folks, and welcome to Change Your POV Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Lazary, and today is day 6 of 7-Day Resume. We are going to be talking about what are they looking for. When I say they, I'm talking about the recruiter and or hiring manager. So we're going to be looking at new managers, right, that come into your company, or perhaps you're getting promoted within that same company. You're going to be getting a new manager. We're going to be talking about getting laid off and unemployment. What do recruiters and hiring managers look for? Resume paper, mailing a resume, and folding a resume. All right, so let's get right into it. If you want to know more, and again, I can't possibly cover all of these lessons in a podcast format because there's a lot of downloadables, a lot of visuals, and other videos. So you'd have to go over to 7dayresume.com, and there's a video on there if you want to watch that. And you scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a place where you can opt in and just sign up with your name and your email, and you will immediately be emailed the first lesson. And then every day after that, for the next 6 days, you'll receive a new lesson via your email. And in those lessons will be videos. There'll be some write-ups, some downloadables, some worksheets, Excel files, Word documents. There's a whole bunch of PDF documents and things like that. So if you want to get all of the details, head on over again to 7dayresume.com and sign up and get everything. And it's all free, folks. No strings attached. It's all free just for you. Tons and tons of information. Everybody that's gone through this, it's currently going through this or have taken the training, they say they cannot believe there's that much information, and it's all free. So if you don't believe me, just head on over, sign up, and check it out for yourself. All right, so we're going to talk about who is looking at your resume. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about who actually looks at your resume. Many may not realize how often you may actually need your resume. All right, so who all reviews it? So let's look at a few here. Recruiters. You've heard this word before in the past, recruiters. So what and who is a recruiter? All right, on occasion, companies may have their own internal recruiters that serve the company in the capacity of searching for and filling needed positions within the company. This is mostly commonly done through the HR or Human Resources Department. Titles may vary from company to company. Some common titles you may recognize are HR representative, talent acquisition specialist, or even corporate recruiter. Because recruiting is only one of many functions provided by the HR department, sometimes these reps don't have the bandwidth necessary to fully vet candidates for multiple positions within the company simultaneously. So many companies will actually outsource this talent acquisition function to a third party or subcontracted companies like actual recruiting agencies. These agencies do this for a living, so they have a much deeper network, and they have resources. Like I said, they do this full-time. That's what their job is. So they've got all these additional resources they can bring to bear in helping find needed positions or filling those needed positions much faster and with potentially better candidates. All right. Third-party recruiters and talent acquisition specialists review hundreds of resumes daily. This is generally the first of many gates you must pass through your quest to obtain a new job. All right. Next is hiring manager. Now, hiring managers can and sometimes do search for their own candidates for positions that they are looking to fill. Typically, however, they will be given a stack of pre-vetted resumes to review from like the recruiter or the HR representative, whether it be internal or external, either the third-party company or an internal HR department, for example. The hiring manager will then have tons of fun putting their stacks of resumes into the hell no pile, the maybe pile, and the no piles, which we've covered in previous lessons. Next, we're going to talk about new managers in promotion. Oftentimes, new managers coming into a new company or a department, they may want to review the resumes of their new directs. It's not unreasonable request for a new manager to want to review the resumes of their directs. You may not be looking for a job, and now all of a sudden your new boss is interested in taking a look at your resume. It isn't because they're looking at laying off anybody or anything like that. They just want to get a sense for who you are. Obviously, they have your performance evaluations that they will be able to review as well, but they perhaps might want to know a little bit more about you and your previous or your past work experience. Or perhaps you are looking for a promotion within your department or even within a different department. Well, guess what? Yep, you will need your resume. I have seen so many folks scramble to put their resumes together haphazardly to have it ready for an intercompany interview for a potential opportunity. Hell, I did this myself once or twice. It's not a fun experience, okay? So even if you're not looking for a job right now, but you've got ambitions to potentially get promoted or maybe even move into other departments up into the same company, then you're going to need a resume. And a lot of people don't know that. All right, let's talk about getting laid off or unemployment. Now, this is kind of an unfortunate event, but it happens. Not too long ago, my father-in-law was caught up in a massive layoff in the coal industry out in Wyoming. He went downtown and stood in a huge unemployment line. We're talking a few thousand people getting laid off here, folks. And guess what he needed in order to submit his unemployment paperwork? You guessed it. He needed his resume. Now, there was no way he knew this was coming, and it caught him off guard as all the other thousands of people that got laid off within a week or two. And everybody was scrambling because everybody needed a resume to submit for unemployment and to go out and look for another job. The point I really want to make here is that more times than not, people need a resume. Those that don't know they need one, well, they need one in a hurry. From layoffs to getting fired to promotion opportunities in your company to your new manager wanting to see your resume, etc., etc. Very few people actually have a well-crafted resume when the time comes that they actually need one. It's almost like life insurance or a will. You really don't think about it until you need one. But then what do? That's all you can think about when you need one. So what do recruiters and hiring managers look for? This is the million-dollar question. Now we finally get to what everyone has been waiting for all along. Here it is. So what do recruiters and hiring managers look for in your resume? Now, to be fair, there is no absolute definitive answer because, as you know, every recruiter and hiring manager will be looking for certain little things in all potential candidates. That will vary from job to job, industry to industry, person to person. It's very, very unique. There is no blanket one thing. However, there are some common threads amongst all recruiters and hiring managers, things that everyone is looking for regardless of the position or industry. All right, the first is they are looking for demonstrated ability. Now, I'm going to use this word a lot, or this phrase a lot, demonstrated ability, okay? It's kind of a big deal, and you'll learn why. All right, so they're looking for demonstrated ability to communicate effectively, both written and verbal. Your manager does not want to carry a special decoder ring to try and decipher whatever it is you're trying to say. You have to demonstrate this skill clearly in your resume. You may have this skill. You may have been dealing with this skill and you may be an expert in this skill for 30 years. But if you have not demonstrated it in your resume, then it might as well not have happened, okay? That's why it's important to demonstrate it in your resume. Next, they are looking for the demonstrated ability to work independently. Now, let's be honest here. Managers don't want or have time to babysit you all day, every day. All right? Not only do they not have the time, they just plain don't want to do it. All right? You must demonstrate this skill in your resume. Next, they are looking for demonstrated ability to elevate and engage management when necessary. Not telling the captain of the ship that he has a huge hole and has been taking on water for some time and it's just a matter of time before it's completely underwater is just not a great idea. Managers don't like babysitting, but they hate drowning even more. Just ask Leonardo DiCaprio in the Titanic. You must demonstrate this skill set in your resume. Finally, they are looking for demonstrated ability to work cohesively in a team. Yes, they want you to be an independent worker, but they also want you to work well with others. Conflict resolution is huge here. Your manager is not interested in the Jerry Springer drama in their department. You must demonstrate this skill set in your resume. I hope you picked up on the phrase I keep using, like I said, demonstrated ability. So what does this mean? Well, if your resume has a list of things that you do or did, but you don't demonstrate how well you did those things, then your resume is just plain ineffective. Let's look at an example. The first type of a bullet statement is what I see most often, and it does not demonstrate one's ability. And here it is. Hard worker with a keen sense of great attention to detail. Sounds nice, right? But how was any of this demonstrated? You're right, it wasn't. Now let's look at the bullet statement that demonstrates this ability. Identified 3 process improvements that resulted in $3,000 in savings. The second bullet statement demonstrates that you are a hard worker with a keen sense of attention to detail. See the difference? All right, I can go on and on and on, and there's plenty of examples when you sign up for the 7-Day Resume over at 7dayresume.com. Next, we're going to talk about resume paper. In most cases, you will be submitting your resume electronically, either through the company's portal or via an email to the recruiter or hiring manager. In some cases, however, you will still be asked to submit a hard copy or a physically printed copy of your resume. Because I have seen so many mistakes made in this area, I've decided to add it in this training. There is actual resume paper that you buy to print your resume onto. Normal printer paper or copy paper is not the right paper used to print your resume. I've got some links in the training of some resume paper. There's 2 different kinds. The first type is it's white in color, it's thick, and it takes ink well from your printer. This is the standard for printing your resume. The second type is made of the same material. It also accepts ink very well from your printer, but however, it's ivory in color. Either one will work. When I received a resume that was printed on baby blue or pink paper, they went straight into the hell no pile. All right, listen. Trying to set yourself apart from all the other resumes in the pile, it will do just that. It will set you apart. It will set you straight in the paper recycle bin. All right? Don't get creative with your resume here. If you have followed my guidelines up until this point, you have an excellent resume that will stand out on its own merit. Don't ruin it for yourself now. Mailing your resume. All right, if you are mailing your resume into the hiring manager or recruiter, it is customary to also include a cover letter. I will not get into the specifics of a cover letter in the 7-Day Resume, but I do want to make a point in saying that it should be addressed specifically to the recruiter or hiring manager and not the typical quote, "to whom it may concern." That is just way too impersonal to be effective. Also, you should print the cover letter on the same type of paper that you're printing your resume on. Finally, you should also keep the theme going with the envelope you choose to send your resume or cover letter in. If you use the white resume paper, use the white resume envelope. If you use the ivory resume paper, you get the idea. Now, folding your resume. My recommendation here is that you don't fold your resume. You should use a full sheet resume mailer that come in either white or ivory. This makes adding your resume to the stack of resumes much easier, because a folded resume, it's harder to manage. It's harder to stack. It's harder to make copies of. Remember, your objective in this entire process is to make the recruiter and hiring manager's lives as easy as possible whenever it comes to your resume. But if you absolutely must fold the resume, I recommend folding it in thirds so that the text of the resume is completely concealed once folded, as opposed to the accordion style where 1/3 of the text is still visible once folded. That method is for letters that are generally placed in an envelope that has windows to display the mailing address and/or return addresses. All right, that will wrap it up for this lesson of the 7-Day Resume. Tune in next week as we cover the 7th and final lesson in the 7-Day Resume, and we're going to talk about submission and follow-up, how to upload and turn in your resume, how to save a digital copy, your naming your digital file, how to follow up, your follow-up email, and follow-up written card. All right. Now, I hope you enjoy these little tidbits of lessons, but I really encourage you to head over to changeyourpov.com and sign up for the full course. Thanks again, folks. You can find everything that we talked about in the show notes of this episode by heading over to changeyourpov.com/episode 68. Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We have a lot more great content headed your way. You can come be part of the community over at Change Your POV, our Facebook page, where Bennett and I are still in the midst of our 30-day challenge, and we've got some plans for the next 30 days as well. So come on over and check us out over there as well. All right, folks, until next time.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.